Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Pop Anime Comics from popanimecomics.com. You can find me on Twitter at popanimecomics. You can check out my Facebook page. Put all the links down below. I do a lot of cool stuff. And something that I don't know if anybody knows, but I go to different anime cons and do panels. And I was going to talk about that. So just to give a brief introduction to anybody who's not aware of a con or hasn't really been paying attention, the way cons work, whether it's a Comic-Con, Anime Con, or any type of con for the most part, is that they have guests, they have dealer's room, they might have guest of honor, they have people selling stuff in the dealer's room, and they have a bunch of panelists. And some of those panelists are paid. Typically guests are paid, or somebody's an expert, or some type of deal was worked out with certain people as it draws crowds in. But at Comic-Cons and Anime Cons, a lot of those panelists aren't paid. And so we're going to talk about the truth behind that, why that is, how it all works, why you should support it, what those panelists typically get, how it works, why it works that way, and everything in between. So that's what this video is about. And I'm hoping to outline this, and I'm hoping to convince you so that when you go to a panelist, whether it's my panel or somebody else's, you go out and you support them, and you could define what support is for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if somebody says, hey, I got this thing going on, which I typically do, supporting it might help. And this might elude people to realizing that there's a reason why we ask for support. So, a lot of people at cons, I believe it's 80 to 95% of the panelists are there because they want to be there. Everybody who's a panelist wants to do a panel. That's a given. I love doing panels. I love speaking. It's very enjoyable and it's very rewarding. And I want to get that out to encourage anybody who wants to do a panel. It's a very rewarding experience. But a lot of people don't get paid. So a panel will go pay voice actors at anime cons or directors or people who are doing like original animation. They might pay a musical guest. They might pay a cosplay guest or invite them to the con. And what those people typically get is they'll either get a stipend, they might get paid some money. It's not a lot of money, but they might get paid a decent amount of money. They also might have an opportunity to sell their stuff. They might be given a table. If they're bringing them from out of town, they might get a hotel room, a food stipend, and so on and so forth. And the whole thing is that they draw people in to the con, and they help sell tickets, and obviously the con finds value in that. But the majority, and then they might do a panel or two of those people, or they might do 3 or 4, depending on what the con asks and the fluctuation of price. So that's typically paid guests. That is the minority, by far. The majority, different cons operate differently. Some cons is that you get $20 per panel up until you reimburse the entire badge. So some cons do that, where you get 20, 20, 20. So if you do 3 and it's a $60 badge, you're taken care of. Other cons do it that one and done, meaning if you do one panel, you're good. Some cons have certain things where if you're in their educational track or their cultural track, you're good, one and done. If you're not, what they typically want to do is that they want you to do 2 or 3 to qualify for a free badge. I've been at cons where they wanted me to do 4 to get a free badge. And so that's typically how it does. And some cons take care of you, and they say, hey, you don't need to worry about your badge. Take care of your badge. You'll be good. You're solid. We got you covered. Just let us know. We'll put up a bio and take care of you and everything, and so forth and so be. Other cons say you got to buy your badge, and then we'll reimburse you after the con, which always makes me a little bit skeptical because it's not guaranteed. Even though they say it's guaranteed, they put it in an email. It hasn't happened yet, but, that's something that doesn't make me feel very good as a panelist. And so given all of that, and as a panelist who's getting a badge, it's great. I get to go for free, and typically I get to go for free for 3 days, but I still have to worry about my food for the day. I still have to worry about getting to the con, parking at the con. If it's out of town, I have to worry about a hotel. I have to worry about all those things. And a lot of the times, these cons don't even issue a thank you to their panelists. So that's something that why when I say, and I do it all the time, and other people do it too, and I'm not sour grapes or anything. This is really just insight into the entire thing. Because again, as a panelist, I love talking about this. It gives me a platform. I love sharing what I know. If anybody comes to my panels, you can tell I love this stuff. And I love sharing it, and I love talking about it, and I have a great time. I get to go to a con for free, which is a fantastic benefit. But the reason why I'm giving all this insight is that I do this all the time at my panels. I say, hey, I would love a Twitter follower. I would love, check out my website, check out my podcast. This stuff's free. Hey, take my business card. Because the only way cons don't basically elevate you to a paid guest unless you have a following or you bring value or you've done a lot of panels. And then all of a sudden you have a following, and then they say, oh, we find value in you. You clearly are well established. I've done 20 panels. By the end of the year, I'm going to have done 23. I'm booked for 2 in November, and I'm booked for 1 in December so far. And so 23 panels. I've been doing this for like 6 years. I love doing it. I'm not going to stop. I got my podcast. I love it all. But when I say, hey, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, check out my podcast, tell me what you think, when we ask for your support, and you can define support, everybody asks for support in a different fashion. There's a reason why. It's because we're not being necessarily taken care of by the con. And they do that because they know that, hey, they give a free badge, it doesn't really cost them much, and they still need to fill up all that content. If you have a con over 3 days, that's well over about 100 hours worth of content if you have 3 panel rooms. Easy, some have like 4 or 5. Anime Boston does a huge amount. They got a lot of rooms. I think they have like 20 or 25 rooms that really go, and they got like 10 panels every day in each of those rooms. And so they need to fill up that content. And without the fan and free panels, they would not have that. And then the guests draw people in, but they still need to entertain because those guests can't handle it. And so a lot of the time is that you can support whoever you want, and support comes in a lot of ways. Again, I'm not going to explain what support means. That's not what this video is about. Support is what you as fans determine it. But when you realize, and this is complete insight, is a lot of people aren't getting paid here. And so if I say, hey, follow me on Twitter, check out my stuff, and if you don't like what you see, free market. This is not a promotion for me as much as I would like it to be. Check out my stuff. I'm going to put all my links down below. And this is really the first time I'm really talking about this. And so I would love to have a discussion because it's really insightful and I'm breaking it down. I think I'm doing a good job. And I'll be happy to answer any questions or any complaints, really. I'm more than happy to do that as well. But when we ask for support, even if it's just a Twitter follow, a Facebook like, things along those lines, or hey, check out my stuff, which I do all the time, as I just said it for like the 4th time so far, we're asking because the only way that you can get from being a fan panelist to being a paid guest is by our audience saying, hey, we like this guy talks, or girl, we like this person, and they're really good, and we want them at this con. And then if you say that to a con, and then all of a sudden you follow them, and then 600 people follow you, and then 700, 800, 900, and then all of a sudden you have a fan base of like 10,000 fans, a con is more likely to say, okay, we're going to bring you here. And when they bring you here, even if they don't pay you, if they take care of a lot of your expenses, that's how people get outside. So if you see somebody's panel online and you like what they do, and they say, hey, give me a follow. Or if you come in which I'm in DC, and you came in from like Arkansas, and you want me in Arkansas, you got to tell a con, because I'm not going to go drive out to Arkansas. I live in DC, and a con's in DC. It's very inexpensive for me to come because I stay in my apartment. It's the same thing. I'm originally from New York. My parents are up in New York. When there's a con in New York, in Manhattan, I'm 40 miles outside of Manhattan. I could go for the day, and I don't have to worry about a hotel. And so many fan panelists, unfortunately, cannot go and come to cons outside of really 100, 200, 300 mile radius, unless they want to spend money and stay in a hotel, and that really does add up. I can tell you that, Anime Boston, when I go up to Anime Boston, once every 3 or 4 years, and the reason why I only go up once every 3 or 4 years is because it is a very expensive weekend. It's about a $1,200-$1,300 weekend. That's a lot of money for a fan panelist. And I love going to Boston, and Boston's a great experience, but it's just that. And I think that really explains it. So if you're seeing this video and you want to check out some of my stuff, I mean, I direct you to definitely check out my stuff. It's on the 18th. I'm going to be live streaming stuff on Facebook Live. A lot of cool stuff. And if you want me to come to your con, or anybody who does anything like this, and you want them to come to a con in your state, I mean, following them on Twitter, talking to your cons, your local cons, bringing them up, because this really gives insight. And a lot of people at these cons and guests, I mean, you know, there's 3 hubs in the voice acting community. There's New York, Texas, and California. And so when you have a con in Washington, D.C., you know, they bring people either from New York up, or they bring people from Texas in, or from California in. And they host them, and that's the reason why they're coming, is because they're getting paid to come. They like to interact with their fans, but they're getting paid to come, and their expenses are being taken care of. And a lot of these voice actors and actresses do sell prints and things like that. And that's part of the reason why they come, while fan panelists don't really have that option to do that. Other guests do. A lot of cosplayers have that option. And so a lot of, you know, the fan panelist who just wants to talk about anime really has a harder time. And so when we ask for your support, I mean, we're asking because you as fans, you know, can throw your support our way, and that helps a con make a determination who to bring in. And I hope this really gives some insight into all of this and really explains it and really starts a discussion, because I think that's what I'm trying to bring out here. You know, again, I'm not sour grapes about it. I will eventually get to the level of being invited as a paid guest. I speak publicly almost weekly due to my podcast, and that's a big help, and that's a really nice signifier to a con. I'm growing my fan base slowly. I tweet out a lot. I hope that maybe some of you check out a lot of my other stuff. Maybe not on YouTube. I do a lot of writing for my website, which also helps. I tweet out decently about a lot of my articles and stuff that I find fascinating. I got a lot of podcast stuff going on. I do have 3 booked panels so far for the end of this year. I was hoping it's more. Unfortunately, Con did not accept a few of my panels that I thought were fantastic, but we're going to overlook that. And really, I hope this does start a discussion about, you know, supporting what you like. And whether you support me or not, that's not what it is. If you check out my stuff and you hate my stuff, please don't support me. If you like what you see, you know, support me. And support can be anything you choose it to be, because support comes in so many different fashions. And so I'm not going to tell you how to support me. If you would like to know, I mean, you could ask in the comment section down below what I like with support. But I'm not going to force anybody to do anything. If you like what you see, you know, support it. It doesn't just apply to me. It applies to other panelists. It applies to even voice actors, cosplayers. But, you know, just a bit of advice. If you like something and you don't support it, sometimes it stays and sometimes it goes. And I hate to say it, I'm not going anywhere. Just so everybody's aware of that, you know, the podcast is not going anywhere. The website is not going anywhere. But the rate that I have support determines how fast we grow and what we can achieve. And that's the other thing about support. When you support people and you're behind them, you know, it goes a lot faster than when they have to self-support their project. When fans are behind them, it goes a lot faster. And so that's something to keep in mind too. And really, I'm going to end on this note before I let everybody know some other stuff that's going on. Again, as I was saying, and I'm going to just reiterate the point here, is that if you like something, support it. And that applies to indie comic books, that applies to panels, that applies to voice actors, new voice actors in particular, who are very young. If you're like 24 and you're a voice actor and you like what you hear, there's a few people who know who I'm speaking to, who are beginning their careers. Definitely support them, because that helps them grow. If you want to support older voice actors, that's good too. Cosplayers, it's whatever you fancy, you should support. But you should also realize that at cons, the bottom rung is the fan panelists. And if their name is not mentioned in a guidebook that you get, most likely they're a fan panelist. And you should definitely consider supporting or at least checking out their work and giving it a chance. So I'm going to end on that note, and I'm just going to mention all my cool stuff. My name's Pop Anime Comics. I write for my website I created, popanimecomics.com. Again, all these links will be down below, so you don't have to worry about hearing this all out. I have a podcast. It's weekly or every other week. I edit it all myself. I handle everything myself. So that's Pop Anime Comics Lounge. I interview voice actors and actresses, professional wrestlers, cosplayers, comic book writers, and artists, and occasionally I'll interview an author or two. And I shift things around, and I'm always constantly adding cool things in there. And I'm expanding. I haven't decided the direction I want to go in just yet, but we're in the middle of my season 2 of the podcast. Got a lot of cool people. I'm going to have an episode coming out this Sunday, Monday. I'm going to be pushing it out on Twitter, so look for it. Very cool. I'll put a link down below to the cool stuff with that. On my Facebook page, as I mentioned, I do a lot of live streams of my panels. So if you can't make it out to a con, it's a really cool place to go. Typically, I leave those things up for about 2 to 3 months. So watching it sooner rather than later is a good idea. I have a really cool panel up there right now. It's actually expiring on New Year's, I believe. So definitely check that out before then. And as far as, I believe that's everything I got going on for the most part. A lot of cool stuff. Best place to find out what I'm doing is Twitter. Twitter will let you know everything. It'll get you to my website. It'll get you to my podcast, everything. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And I appreciate it. And again, I encourage discussions because I want to know what people think. I want to know if you're a panelist. I want to know what people think about supporting panelists and everything like that, and supporting anything you love, really. I'm very curious about that. And I hope this is insightful and gives you a glimpse and really begins a conversation, because that's where I really want to go with my YouTube channel and all of this. And I really want to encourage fans and people, my subscribers, to talk about this. And if you're not a subscriber, you can still talk about it. I'm very curious as to what everybody thinks about panelists and cons and everything. And again, I'm just going to say it because I know somebody's going to comment on it. I get the entire business. I really do. This is just giving more of an insight into what it's like as a panelist and as a fan panelist, and what I see and what I have a feeling a lot of other people see who might not want to voice their opinion because it might hurt them. Which I'm okay with, because I don't think I said anything that's not true on this matter. So, nor did I name any cons or anything like that. But I'm sure that several people will understand and empathize and sympathize with what I was speaking about who are panelists, because I'm sure a lot of people have that struggle. So thank you so much for listening. I know it's long, but there's a lot to cover. And I want to have a nice, good conversation about this. So feel free to comment and let's talk about it. If you disagree with me, please feel free to comment and we will talk about it. And maybe you'll convince me on a point, or maybe I'll convince you on mine. I look forward to hearing from all of you. And definitely, if you're not a subscriber of mine on YouTube or anything else that I do, definitely check it out. Give it a shot. That's all I ask. A shot. Till next time, everybody, have a wonderful week, day, hour, or until I see you in my next video.